Good morning, my young witches and wizards in training. In this video, you're going to learn how to read cards to answer questions. So there's two ways of reading cards, right? There's reading the cards, and then there's reading the cards to answer a question. Okay, they're two different modes, right? And they overlap some, but they really are two different things. So I'm going to just go through the process and show you and explain along the way. Uh, I think that's the best way to go about it, especially with how short all of your attention spans are. You can't focus on a video for more than 10 minutes. So I'll try and keep it under that time for your goldfish brains. But I'm sure if you're watching my videos, you're a lot smarter than the average internet dweller. So, you know, just between you and me, that's my opinion. Don't tell anyone else, though, okay? You didn't hear that from me. I'm sure that just killed a lot of people inside with that. I'll be nice to my cards, I swear. Never again. That did kind of hurt. Actually, now they're ruined. Okay, so you have a question, right? Let's say you want generic one. Everyone wants to hear about romance and relationships. So, uh, when you're answering a question, you want the answer to be helpful. I know, profound. That's why I make the big bucks, because I'm so smart. That's why. Okay, I digress. Uh, you want the answer to be helpful, okay? This isn't divination in the sense that you're making a prediction of what's going to happen. You're analyzing the question and giving feedback, right? So maybe you ask the wrong question, right? Maybe it isn't, will I find love? Maybe it's, how do I find love? Or what's preventing me from finding love? Okay. Those are very important and different ways to ask this to get the same goal. Okay. You want more money? There's so many different ways to get there. You want more, more love? Many ways to get there. Okay. And we use tarot to figure out all the different paths. Okay, tarot means royal way. There's many ways to get to the same thing. Okay, and answer the same question just from a different perspective. So step one, you have your question. How do we find love? How do we get more love? Right, we're all trying to get to that. With There are many different ways to ask that same goal. Okay, love. That's step one. Step two, you need a card spread, because a card just tells you what the card means. Okay. Yeah, symbols, images, it has a specific meaning. But when you have a tarot spread, each position represents a certain aspect of the question. So not any single one card will give you what you're looking for. It could give you ideas, but it's not going to be like, this this is you, and this is what's wrong with you. This is this other person, this is what's going on with them. Okay. uh or this is your money and your relationship to your money. Okay. And this is you and your relationship to yourself, so you need a spread. Okay. 3 card spread is very, because that's, I think, the amount of cards you need to get into a question and open up the gateway to actually get anywhere. Okay. But the positions could mean anything, right? And you can play around with this, but generally, in the Vegas sense, past, present, future. Okay. So don't overthink shuffling cards. It's not that complicated, and you're not going to, nothing's going to go wrong if you shuffle, you know, wrongly. I think people make too big of a deal of that. I don't, because it actually doesn't matter. Uh, okay. Past, that's right here. Present and future. So before we even lay down cards, we know what we're already trying to look at. We're trying to get at. We know the goal, right? So we know what we're trying to get to. Then we're going to figure out what things are going to help us get to that and what things are in the way. So this past, this may be the person asking the question. This may be an event that happened in the past. It could mean many things, but it's in that box, is in the past. And I think with sectioning it off as like past, present, future, that helps you get a big like eagle-eyed view. Okay, because there's two different ways of going about life. There's the eagle-eyed view, looking at it from way up here. Then there's the snake view, where you're like twisting and you're very low to the ground and you're like all the nitty-gritty details. Great overview kind of thing going on here. Okay, and it's very good for beginners. So if you're a beginner, start with this. Let's dive into it, right? Experience is the best teacher, so just doing it over and over again will give you the biggest, you know, the biggest advantage. Uh, okay, in the past, the Emperor, right? That's the first one. In the present, we have the Five of Swords. And then in the future, we have the Five of Wands. This is a cool reading. 2 5s and the Emperor. So, we know what each of these cards mean by themselves, but since we're putting the cards through the lens, we can start answering and analyzing things from this point. And it's totally okay to ask the person you asked the question for questions about their question, right? You're not obligated to be psychic. You know, I think people make a big deal of like, well, I told you that. That's how you knew. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Like, that the point isn't to perform a magic trick and impress you with my divination skills. The point is to be helpful. So in the past, we have the Emperor. I see the Emperor as someone who doesn't have, well, he's a king and he's on a throne and he's very busy and very, very masculine. So probably the vibe I get is he doesn't have too much time for love. He might have a lot of like power for whatever reason, but not too much romance, not too much connection. Uh, and if someone is asking you this kind of question, you kind of already know that they're not in a relationship right now. So you might ask like, "Hey, was there anyone in your past who you were with that was like hard-headed and snobbish?" That might have been someone they were with in the past. Either way, now you know that. That's more information to get to where we want to go. In the present, the Five of Swords, this represents conflict. And if it's in the present, then we know that they're not really making friends right now because there's a competition going on in this card. And it appears this person in the front is winning, but they're all alone because the two other guys are walking away. And what does that symbology mean for the question? It means that the person asking the question is not being very cooperative with other people. That's me taking the symbology on this card and filtering it through the question to get more information on what's going on that might be causing the problem. The last card is Five of Wands. Okay? This is in the future. And again, we're not predicting here. We're just seeing what's going on and taking it to its logical conclusion. So if the person doesn't stop being so, if the person isn't making any changes towards being more, because we're getting conflict and stubbornness. If the person doesn't change that or move away from conflict and stubbornness and snobbishness, then they're not going to get anywhere to where people will like them more. Okay, they're only going to attract more of that. So this card is indicative of that. It shows what's going to happen if they don't move away from those things. And they may already know that. So again, we're going to be helpful. How do we tell them how not to do that? This is the part where you come up with the answer. The cards are only going to tell you what, but you give the why and the how. So, uh, even though this is more conflict, I'm going to say, right? I'm going to say, why not be around more people that are competitive, but there's a camaraderie. So I'm seeing in this card, the difference between these two cards is there's a group here and there's only like one person here. So it's still competition, but maybe we could take this aggressive energy and apply it towards something that's productive and team building and relationship building. Instead of thinking I need to win, it's all about me. Why not think I need to I need to win, but that doesn't mean it's all about me. It means it's about doing your best and giving your all out of respect for the person you're playing against, you know? And that's just one way that I would look at it. You know, the point isn't to win the game, it's to play the game and keep playing it and get invited to the next game so you can play again. And that's all just stuff from me. Okay, the cards aren't going to tell you the why, they're only going to tell you the what. What do we get? Conflict, more conflict. But the symbology and the numbers and all that is triggering my collection of ideas and insights about conflict and relationships and being up on your high horse thinking that you're better than everyone else and it's all about winning and money and power, you know. Let's say we got some cards like let's see, we could literally put any cards down because the cards aren't the anchor. The querent and the question is the anchor. The cards are all being filtered through the question and the person asking the question. So the cards aren't going to dictate the what's. They're just going to focus in and express things about the what's. So if this is the present, let's say we get the Empress. Okay. Again, because if we didn't have the question or the person asking the question, I might just go like, oh, you were hard-headed in the past and now in the present you've learned to be so much more open and loving and feeling and you're open to a relationship. That may or may not be true for the person you're talking to. But if I got this card for their present, I'd ask them, hey, are you being more loving and open and nurturing to others? Are you fostering relationships? They might say yes or no, but the point is to bring it up and point it out. Because if it doesn't get pointed out and it doesn't get acknowledged and become conscious, it's just going to play in the background and the same things are going to happen over and over again. And you know who's the best at predicting what's going to go on in their life is the person asking the question, because it's probably happened before. You know, cycles repeat and all that. But that's the big secret, right? Is the cards aren't the cards aren't telling you why or the how. They're just focus points for the what's. So if I got the Six of Wands in the past, this card is all about victory. It's someone on a horse. You could think of the Sun card. The Sun, the child riding the white horse. It represents purity and being uplifted by your environment or something stronger than yourself that's carrying you through to victory. If you got this in the past, again, the anchor, the person we're talking to right now, does not have a relationship. If they had victory in the past, why don't they have that same victory right now? Again, because we're trying to get there to the where we want to be. So I would ask, hey, were you in a relationship in the past? Did that fail? Because again, it was in the past. Things change, you know? If we got again, the victory in the past, the difficulty and challenge in the present, I'd say what happened here? and I'd ask, because trying to be psychic, trying to answer, trying to be impressive isn't actually all too helpful. And the biggest thing you can do for yourself as a witch or a freaking magician, wizard, whatever you want to call yourself, is to get your ego out of the way and focus on the principle of the thing. Be a principled person. Be honest. You know, if you don't know, you don't know. But you can still, you should train yourself to think critically and know how what you're doing works. Because if you're just in here trying to be like, oh, you got the star card, everything is going to go your way now, you're oblivious. You're just oblivious, and that's it. So if this was helpful, I'm glad. I want it to be. If you have questions, ask, because I'll answer. Leave a comment, and because I know tarot is so confusing. It really is, and there's so much misinformation out there. It's honestly impressive that anyone can make this system work at all, but it's not that complicated when you're doing it right. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.